Let's see. Jazz musician. Jazz musician. Jazz musician. Jazz musician. Nope. Hey jazz heads, so here's a couple more thoughts on some big band playing. So I had a really good gig last night playing some big band music. So I'm off to the dream, a paying jazz gig within walking distance of my house. And I'm going back again tonight. If you want to come out and catch us, we'll be at the Boxmoor Playhouse. But it got me thinking about a couple of decisions I had to make while I was soloing over that big band. It's slightly different than obviously when we're soloing in a small band, in that we have, again, a structure that we need to work within. So there's three kind of elements to how we might want to solo. So the first thing is, do we play the written solo? And now 90% of the time, we say no. We want to try and improvise as much as we can, keep it authentic. However, some of these solos in big band music have become so famous and iconic that they now are what we call sort of obligato solos. For example, what follows this, obviously, yeah, always does. And people are expecting to hear that solo. So you got to play it. I should also point out I am absolutely loving the new mouthpiece. The Monette mouthpiece is working an absolute treat for me. It's sounding great. I spoke with a friend of mine, Ian Ritchie, who plays in Roger Waters' band at the moment. Years ago, we were chatting about this, whether to play the written solo. And he was saying, obviously, because he goes off and does all those Pink Floyd tenor solos, those iconic solos. I said, do you improvise it or do you play note for note? And he was saying, you've got to play it note for note because there's people out there singing along with what you're playing, singing along the solos from the album. So yeah, so some of those solos that are absolutely now iconic in jazz and things, you know, some of those Harry James solos as well in the big band swing stuff, you just got to play the written solo. So if we're not playing the written solo though, and we're going to improvise, what are the things we need to watch out for? Firstly, the chord voicings that might be in and around your solo. So if you're fortunate enough to have an extended period where you can improvise like a band within a band, like a small band, then you can react and interact with the rhythm section like it is a small band. However, you quite often have trombones outlining harmonic features. So if you have a voicing, like a typical kind of trombone voicing would be, and then the B flat below it. That's our typical, be like a B flat minor voicing in the trombones. But because we can't reach that on the trumpet, certainly we can't reach that low B flat there. We only need to worry about these. So we know those notes are there. So we know the trombones are kind of occupying that register. So therefore, we might find a nice workable register in that region to kind of play in. So depending on the notes in that voicing, whether we've got the 13 in there, we quite often have a 13 if we're going to use a big band spread voicing kind of thing. It depends on what notes are going to sound good for us to solo on. So if we know the backing voicings that is going to stay the same every time we play that chart, we know which notes are going to sound really good for us. If they're just pad voicings, we still get quite a lot of freedom to improvise how we want to, and our melodic lines can be long. When might we have to shorten our lines? Well, that's when we get kicks from perhaps the saxes or particularly the trumpet section. So the classic example that springs to mind of this is in the Frank Sinatra version of I Got You Under My Skin. Have a listen. Here we go. So from that, you can hear the band have the tune and the trombone players filling that gap with solos. Now, there's absolutely no point in that trombone player playing a long 4-bar line. Otherwise, you're just going to get your line cut off by the trumpets coming. So that is where we've got to know the backing features that are going to get in the way of our solo and react around them. Sometimes these come in towards the end of solo sections after we've had our improvised chorus or two maybe, and then we get some backing figures coming in that start to outline the harmony. So there's going to be, so knowing where those come in can really help you with your soloing in the big band.